Look at your hands, feel your breath. This is the only place you ever truly are, here and this. She gestures softly around her. This is the only time you ever truly have, now. We spend so much of our lives everywhere else, don't we? We are time travelers, constantly projecting ourselves into a future we cannot control, or haunting a past we cannot change. We are cartographers of other places, mapping out destinations, dreaming of far-off horizons, while the ground beneath our own feet feels like a temporary platform, a waiting room for a life that hasn't started yet. We say, "I'll be happy when," or "if only I were there." We wait for a signal, for permission, for the perfect alignment of circumstances to finally begin. But the signal is a lie, the permission slip you are waiting for. It was signed with your first breath. The most profound, the most terrifying, and the most liberating truth is that it all happens here, not in some distant, perfected future, not in the memory of a golden past. But in this room, in this breath, in the quiet, palpable reality of this present moment, this is where your power resides, not in the then or there, but in the now and the here. And from this convergence, from this single, potent point of existence, there is only one thing left to do. One word, the most important word, go, not tomorrow, not when you have the full map, not when you are fearless, go now, from right here. Go doesn't always mean a physical departure, it is an internal launching. It is the decision to speak the kind word you are holding back. It is the courage to pick up the pen, the brush, the instrument. It is the strength to walk away from what is poisoning your spirit. It is the audacity to take the very first small, trembling step toward a dream that feels too big for you. The path is not something you find. It is something you create with every step you take from this very spot. The most profound and accessible power you will ever possess is not located in a distant future you are striving toward, nor is it buried in a past you are trying to reclaim. It exists in a single, perpetually available point, the present moment. This is the foundational truth that now, here, seeks to anchor in our consciousness. We live much of our lives as temporal refugees, fleeing the perceived inadequacy of the present for the imagined safety of memory or the projected perfection of what is to come. We believe that our power is contingent on the right job, the right relationship, the right set of circumstances that will finally allow us to act, to feel, to be. This is a delusion that systematically disempowers us. The future is a concept, a speculative story we tell ourselves. The past is a record, a collection of memories whose meaning we constantly edit. Neither are real in the way that this breath is real. Neither are places where you can actually exercise your will. The only domain where your choices have any tangible impact, where your actions can actually shape reality, is in the relentless and fleeting present. When you are mentally traveling, you are essentially abandoning your post. You are leaving the control room of your life unattended, wondering why things are not changing. The power to listen, to connect, to choose kindness, to begin a new chapter, to change your mind. This power is only operational right now. The feeling of powerlessness so many experience is not a reflection of their true capacity. It is the direct result of their attention being invested in a time zone where action is impossible. Anchoring yourself in the here and now is not a passive, spiritual platitude. It is the most strategic move you can make. It is about reclaiming your sovereignty over the only territory you truly command. Think of a ship's captain. The captain cannot steer the ship by focusing only on the wake it has already left behind, nor by staring fixedly at the distant horizon to the exclusion of the immediate waters. The captain must be present, reading the current waves, adjusting the wheel in real time to the wind and the tide. Your life is the same. The now is the wheel. The here is the water directly surrounding your vessel. This is where you must place your hands and your focus. Everything you have ever accomplished or will ever accomplish happened in a string of present moments, a series of nows, that you inhabited fully enough to take a decisive action. The goal, therefore, is not to reach a destination called the future, but to become profoundly present and intentional in the now that you are currently in. This is where you find the leverage to move your world. It is the fundamental point of all agency. To be now, here, is to be fully empowered. It is to stop delegating your life to a ghost from your past or a phantom of your future, and to finally take command of the living, breathing reality that is your current existence. We are a culture conditioned to wait for a starting pistol that never fires. We stand at the edge of our dreams, our desires, our necessary endings, poised for action, but perpetually frozen by the unspoken belief that we require external validation to proceed. We are waiting for a permission slip signed by some unseen authority, a boss, a parent, a partner, or the abstract jury of societal expectation. We treat our own lives as if they are properties we merely inhabit, waiting for the official owner, the one who is truly qualified, to arrive and give us the keys. This is the great deception that keeps potential forever simmering on the back burner. The liberating, and perhaps terrifying, truth is that the permission you seek was granted to you at the moment of your inception. Your very existence is your credential, your breath is your endorsement. The desire that flickers within you, that deep, persistent pull toward a different way of being, creating, or loving, is not a suggestion, it is your mandate. There is no higher council that will convene to approve your journey. No committee will review your application to be happier, to start over, to build something new, or to walk away from what is breaking you. The agonizing wait for the right time is simply a sophisticated procrastination technique orchestrated by fear. Fear dresses itself up as prudence, whispering that we need just one more certification, one more reassurance, one more piece of data. But the data will never be complete. The reassurance will never be absolute. The right time is a phantom that vanishes the moment you try to grasp it. You must come to the radical understanding that you are the only authority that matters in the landscape of your own life. You are the owner of the property. You are the signatory on the document. This is not about arrogance. It is about accepting the fundamental responsibility of your own agency. When you internalize this, the entire dynamic of your life shifts. You stop looking outward for a green light and realize you have been holding the switch all along. The power to grant yourself permission to change your career, to leave a toxic situation, to create art, to rest, to say no, to say yes. This power is already in your hands. It has been there all along, atrophying from disuse. To pick it up again requires a conscious, courageous decision to fire the imaginary gatekeeper and walk through the door yourself. The gate was never locked. It was only ever your own hand, hesitating on the latch, waiting for a signal that was never coming from anywhere but within. The command to go is often misunderstood as a call for grand, sweeping gestures, a dramatic relocation, a radical career shift, a complete reinvention of the self. We imagine it as a seismic event, a single leap that transports us from one fixed point to another. This perception, while cinematic, is both intimidating and fundamentally misleading. The true essence of go is not a single, monumental departure, but a continuous series of internal launches. It is the micro, decisions made in the theater of the present moment that collectively chart the course of a life. It is the choice to voice the vulnerable truth you have been holding in your throat. It is the quiet courage to pick up the instrument you haven't touched in years, not to perform a concerto, but simply to relearn a single scale. It is the profound strength required to walk away from a conversation, a habit, or a relationship that you know, in the quietest part of your soul, is poisoning your spirit. This version of go is an internal orientation, a shift in trajectory that begins not with your feet, but with your will. It is the audacity to take the very first, small, and inevitably trembling step toward a dream that feels impossibly large. That first step is not a movement across space, but a movement across a psychological threshold. It is the decision to begin before you are ready, to create before you are certified, to invest before you are guaranteed a return. This is the most powerful form of go, because it is accessible to you right now, regardless of your external circumstances. You do not need to be on a mountaintop or at a crossroads. You can go from your kitchen table, from your office chair, from the stillness of your own room. The path, as the speech suggests, is not something you find, fully formed and waiting for you. This is a critical distinction. We often operate under the illusion that our purpose or our journey is a pre-laid track, hidden in the underbrush, and our task is to search for it. The anxiety we feel stems from the fear that we might never find it, that we are lost. But the reality is far more empowering and far more demanding. The path is not found, it is forged. It is created under the weight of your own footsteps. With every choice to go, to apply for the job, to have the difficult conversation, to write the first paragraph, you are not discovering a path, you are actively laying down a new piece of it. You are the architect and the laborer simultaneously. This is why action is non-negotiable. Without the action of go, there is no path, only a field of untested potential. The map is drawn by moving, not by studying. Each step provides new information, a new vantage point, revealing the next possible step that was invisible from your previous position. Therefore, go is the engine of creation. It is the mechanism by which you build the very road that will carry you forward, one deliberate internal launch at a time. The belief that we must be ready is one of the most paralyzing and pervasive myths we entertain. It is a siren song that lures us into a state of perpetual preparation, convincing us that action must be preceded by a feeling of total confidence and comprehensive preparedness. We tell ourselves we are not ready for the promotion, not ready to start the business, not ready to have the difficult conversation, not ready to share our art. We wait for a magical alignment of competence, courage, and circumstance that will signal our official qualification to begin. But this moment of perfect readiness is a phantom. It does not exist. The very nature of venturing into anything new or meaningful is that it exists beyond the borders of our current expertise and comfort. If we were already fully prepared for it, it would not represent growth. It would merely be an administrative task. The feeling of unreadiness, the knot in your stomach, the voice of doubt, is not a stop sign. It is the universal and necessary companion to any endeavor worth pursuing. It is the emotional and psychological proof that you are stepping to the edge of your current capabilities. To wait for readiness to appear is to misunderstand the sequence of events entirely. Confidence is not the prerequisite for action, it is the product of it. You do not become confident and then step onto the stage. You step onto the stage feeling terrified, and through the repeated act of speaking and being seen, you earn your confidence. Confidence is not a treasure chest you unlock before beginning the journey. It is the collection of tools and wisdom you gather along the way, often by making mistakes and learning how to correct them. The goal is not to feel ready. It is to be willing to begin despite feeling unready. This shift in focus is everything. It transfers the power from a passive state of waiting to an active state of engagement. The most successful people in any field are not those who never feel fear or doubt. They are simply those who have developed a different relationship with those feelings. They have learned to interpret the butterflies not as a signal to retreat, but as the energy necessary for flight. They understand that the only way to become ready for the next level is to start operating at that level, however clumsily at first. The preparation happens in the doing. The clarity comes from engagement, not from contemplation. Therefore, the pursuit of readiness is a fool's errand that guarantees stagnation. It is a destination that forever recedes on the horizon. The only way to ever feel qualified is to begin the work of becoming qualified, and that work can only start from a place of acknowledged insufficiency. The courage to begin before you feel ready is the very thing that forges the readiness you seek. It is in the acting, the stumbling, the learning, and the persevering that you build the genuine confidence and capability that others mistake for innate readiness. The myth of readiness is a cage whose door is unlocked. You simply have to be willing to push it open and step through, trembling but resolute. The most critical and transformative step you will ever take is the one that begins from exactly where you stand, with exactly what you have in this present moment. We often fall into the trap of believing that we must first be transported to a more ideal starting line, a place of better resources, greater confidence, or perfect conditions, before our journey can legitimately begin. We imagine a future version of ourselves in a more suitable location, finally equipped to take that first step, but this belief is a seductive illusion that forever postpones our progress. The profound and practical truth is that your current reality, with all its perceived limitations and imperfections, is not an obstacle to your beginning. It is your only true launchpad. The here is not a waiting room, it is your mission control. The now is not a prelude to your life, it is the very material from which your life is constructed. Every significant creation, every journey of impact, every story of transformation began not from a place of ideal circumstances, but from a point of acknowledged constraint. The entrepreneur started with a simple idea in a garage, not a corporate headquarters. The artist began with a single sketch, not a gallery exhibition. The healer started with a desire to comfort one person, not to change an entire system. They understood a fundamental principle. The path does not reveal itself to those who wait at the origin point, studying the map. The path is forged, step, by those who are willing to move from their current coordinates into the unknown. Your starting point, however humble or fraught with difficulty, possesses everything you need to initiate momentum. The frustration you feel is fuel. The uncertainty is space for creativity. The limitations are a focusing mechanism that forces innovation. To declare "I will begin from here" is to claim absolute ownership of your trajectory. It is to stop arguing with reality and start working with it. This is not about resigning yourself to your circumstances, but about recognizing them as the active ingredients for your growth. The first step does not need to be large or grand. It simply needs to be taken from your true location. A step taken from an imaginary, more ready version of yourself has no power, because it is not grounded in truth. But a single, small, honest step taken from where you genuinely are, a conversation started, a first sentence written,